Welcome to another edition of the Postgame Wrap. Texas Tech fell in Manhattan, Kansas today, 37-28. And you know what? To me, it was almost a carbon copy of the loss at NC State. I do feel like this was the second best team that Texas Tech has played. It was a tough game. Texas Tech turned the ball over 4 times, which you can't do. I mean, they lost a turnover battle again. I feel like the offense, Donovan Smith looked very indecisive at times, or at least he was slow to recognize the pass rush that was coming in. Caleb Rogers struggled. He gave up 3 sacks. I believe Texas Tech gave up 6 sacks in all. So the offense struggled. And then the defense, they allowed almost 350 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Adrian Martinez was amazing, especially on the ground. Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State's running back, was very good as well. He ran for 140 or something like that, 160 yards. He ran for enough. He ran for a lot of yards. And then special teams was up and down. I mean, Trey Wolf made a couple of kicks, including a 51-yarder. But he also missed a 42-yarder in the second half, which hurt him. They recovered an onside kick, which could have really helped Texas Tech. But then again, he also kicked a ball out of bounds. Austin McNamara continued his struggles. He had a punt that was under 40 yards. He had another one where he wasn't able to pin Kansas State deep. So all 3 phases, they struggled. Now, that's the negative, all right? Also, this is another road game, so Tech is 0-2 on the road. Then again, also, I do believe the 2 best opponents they have played so far this year were also on the road. It wasn't just that they were playing at home. I think those are the 2 best teams that Tech has played, and this is Tech's 4th consecutive game against a ranked opponent. So that goes into it as well. But here's what we did see. Tech went down 13-0. It could have been like 35-0. The defense did find a way to get some stops. They did come up with at least 1 turnover. And then they hung around. And then by halftime, it was 13-10. And you're like, hey, you're right there. Tech would tie it up at 13-13. Kansas State would go score. And then Texas Tech answered again. It was 20-20 in the second half. So they're right there. But turnovers, the missed field goal, you had a chance to go up. And then the rush defense. Finally, the levee broke. And Adrian Martinez just, and Deuce Vaughn, they both just gassed you. Like I said, there were some good things in every phase of the game, but there were some real struggles as well. Caleb Rogers is just struggling at left tackle. Don't get me wrong, he's going against a good player, but you know what? When you're a left tackle, you're going to be playing really good players. You're going to be playing somebody close to Tyree Wilson's ability almost every week. So whether it be Houston, who had a really good defensive line, NC State, Texas, Kansas State, next week against Oklahoma State, guess what? You're going to play some really good defensive linemen. So Caleb Rogers needs to step up, or they need to find somebody who can block because he's giving up too many sacks, getting too many holding penalties. Ironically, I was really worried about the center and the right side, and they played, in my opinion, better than the left side with the veterans of Caleb Rogers and Weston Wright. So they need to figure something out over there on that side because it hadn't been good, just bottom line. Joey McGuire was 1 for 3, decided to go for it 3 times on 4th down. They were 1 for 3. Texas Tech's defense bailed them out for the most part, but Kansas State did get 6 points off that, so that ended up being a big deal. He's going to continue to do that. I mean, you could debate whether it was a good idea, but when it costs you like that, it's hard to defend. So, but then again, 6 for 8 the week before against Texas. I think that was a critical, it was a crucial, deciding factor in Texas Tech winning that game. So, I think you're gonna have to live with it, live and die with it. Going back to Donovan Smith, I know there's gonna be a lot of people out there once again calling for him to get benched and for Baron Morton to play. I get it. I still say you roll with Donovan Smith. I know Joey McGuire said in the post game that, hey, he showed a lot more poise than he did against NC State. But he needs to be more decisive. He can't hold on the ball as long as he has been with that offensive line. Because I think some of the sacks or some of the problems that they had on offense, some of it was the offensive line, there's no doubt. But some of it was also Donovan Smith holding on the ball too long and not having good pocket awareness. There's some good plays. I think Xavier White played well for Miles Price. Trey Cleveland had another big catch. That one-handed catch was amazing. While he was getting held, his arm was getting held back here, and he made this great one-handed catch for a long gain. I thought there were times that Sir Roderick Thompson and Taj Brooks played well. They were able to run the ball. Much better run blocking today, I feel like, overall. And that's when Tech, in my opinion, had its most success, when they were running the ball and then working off that instead of vice versa. Joey McGuire said, look, I mentioned this earlier, but it's another road game and it's a loss and you struggle. So right now we don't know if Texas Tech is a good road team. You can make the argument they're not, because that's where their 2 losses have come from. But again, those are the best opponents, in my opinion, you've played. So it'll be interesting to see how they do next week, because they'll be playing another good opponent on the road. But then you get to your bye. You're 3-2 overall, 1-1 in the Big 12. So you've already gotten that split that I've talked about was so crucial in terms of getting to a bowl game and having a good season and all that. I know they have higher goals at Texas Tech, but just looking at it realistically, I thought going into this game, I said in an earlier video that I thought Tech would probably lose, both against Kansas State and then against Oklahoma State. So I'm not surprised with this outcome. We'll have to see. If they surprise everybody, shock the world, and beat Oklahoma State next week, they're in Stillwater, which I believe that game is 2:30 kickoff Central Time. But if they do shock the world, then hey, you get 4 wins out of this first 6. 5 of those games are against AP top 25 teams. That's a great start. That's a really good record and a great start. If you lose, then it's like, well, you're still on schedule. It's tough. 2 losses going with the bye, but you had that bye week. Then you have West Virginia coming to Tech. That's a game you have to win at home in Lubbock. So you get back on track and then finish the season strong. Like I said, get to a bowl game, have a good foundation moving forward. But I think the main questions that are going to be coming out of this are Donovan Smith. Should they take a look at Baron Morton? I don't think it's necessarily you throw him out there against Oklahoma State in Stillwater, but maybe they do that. And then can they win on the road? Can Texas Tech handle success, which we won't know for several weeks at this point? And then this defense, is it going to hold up or is it going to wear down? That's one thing I've been thinking about, is because it did wear down. Part of it's Kansas State's just a good team, but it wore down in the second half. I don't think it ever stopped fighting, but they need better offense, and the defense needs to find a way to consistently take away teams' top options. You can't give up 350 yards and expect to win. They gave up 350 yards on the ground, turned the ball over 4 times, gave up 6 sacks, and they only lost by 9 points. Really, realistically, you think they should have lost by 3 touchdowns, not 9 points, not 3 field goals. But this team is resilient. It's tough. I'm expecting it's going to be a great year. It's going to be one of those people. Tech fans are constantly, having minor heart attacks here in these games, but I'm still looking forward to next week. I'm still looking forward to what this team can do, and I still think there's a lot of positives with this team. I think it's going in the right direction. I mentioned recruiting, how it's going well, and there's some things they need to clean up for sure, but overall, I think this team has been better than what I was expecting coming into the season, especially with that toughness and that resiliency. So we'll see if it continues next week in Stillwater. But for now, thanks for watching, and until next time.